Introduction. Have you ever said or done something in the heat of the moment and instantly regretted it? Maybe it was a harsh reply you sent in anger. Maybe you shouted back when silence could have saved your peace. Or maybe you made a big decision based on emotion and paid a big price later. If any of that sounds like you, this book was written for you. In a world that's always testing your patience, triggering your emotions, and pulling you into drama, you need a new superpower. Not more motivation, not more hustle. You need the power of not reacting. This book isn't about becoming cold or emotionless. It's about learning how to pause, protect your peace, and respond with purpose, instead of reacting with pain. When you stop reacting, you stop giving your energy to people who don't deserve it. You stop letting others control your mood, your mind, and your future. You become powerful, intentional, calm, and unshakable. Inside these pages, you'll learn how to master your emotional triggers, control your inner world, no matter what's happening outside, build mental discipline that leads to better relationships, better decisions, and a better life. If you want freedom from overthinking, from guilt, from regret, this is your manual. Let's break the cycle. Let's take back control. You're watching Book Suggest. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more powerful book suggestions that grow your mind and help you become 1% better every day. Chapter 1. Pause to win. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. Viktor E. Frankl. The instant reaction. Trap, imagine this. You're in traffic. You're late. A car cuts you off without signaling. What's your instinct? Probably to honk, yell, or curse under your breath. Maybe even tailgate to teach them a lesson. Now pause. What actually happened? A car changed lanes. That's it, but your mind added the drama. You told yourself, this guy disrespected me. I always get treated like this. People are so selfish. And then came the reaction. This is the trap most people fall into every day. They confuse stimulus with attack and reaction with strength. But in reality, reaction is weakness in disguise. The science behind the snaplets go a little deeper. When something triggers you, your brain fires up the amygdala, the emotional part responsible for fight, flight, or freeze. It's fast, impulsive, and ancient. It was designed to protect you from tigers, not trolls on Facebook. This means when someone insults you, your brain treats it like a physical threat. When you're disrespected, your body responds like you're under attack. But here's the key. The reaction happens before your rational brain, the prefrontal cortex, has time to catch up. So when you immediately react, you're not responding as your best self. You're responding as your oldest self, the primitive, fearful, survival version of you. That's why most regrets in life come from speaking or acting too quickly. The power of a 3-second pause. What if you could install a buffer? A simple 3-second pause between trigger and reaction? Here's what happens when you pause for even a few seconds. Your brain has time to switch from emotional to rational. Your heart rate drops. You reclaim control of the moment. You allow space for choice instead of impulse. This is how high performers, emotionally intelligent leaders, and mentally strong individuals operate. They feel the emotion, but don't act on it instantly. They pause. They observe. They respond with clarity, and that's why they win. In the long run. Real-life example. Number 1. Nelson Mandela in prison. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. He was beaten, insulted, humiliated. And when he was finally released and made president, he invited one of his former prison guards to attend his inauguration. Why? Because he had mastered the pause. He didn't react in anger. He responded with vision. Mandela understood. Personal emotion must never override public mission. You don't need to spend 27 years in prison to learn that. You just need 3 seconds. The reaction cycle that ruins your life. Let's break down how most people's days go. Wake up and check phone. See bad news. Get upset. Partner says something annoying. Snap back. Boss criticizes something. Small. Go silent or get defensive. Social media troll. Lose an hour arguing in the comments. Traffic. Rage. End the day. Drained. Frustrated. Anxious. It's not life that's exhausting you. It's your reactions. Every unnecessary reaction costs you mental energy, time, peace, and sometimes relationships. Reaction is expensive, but the pause, it's free, and it pays you back in peace, confidence, and control. Practice this today. The sacred pause. Method: here's a simple framework to practice the pause daily. Step 1. Feel the trigger. Notice your body. R. You clenching your jaw? Tension in the chest? Mind racing? That's a trigger. Step 2. Pause 3 to 5. Seconds count in your mind. 1, 2, 3. Take a deep breath. Let it go slowly. Step 3. Ask yourself, is this worth reacting to? Will this matter in 5 hours, 5 days, 5 years? What would my highest self do right now? Step 4. Respond or don't, now. Respond or walk away or stay silent, but now it's your choice, not your emotions. Do this 10 times a day, and you'll start to rewire your brain for calm over chaos. Real-life example. Number 2. A CEO's secret weapon. A billionaire CEO once said, "My greatest strength in negotiations? I don't react." He shared how, when investors made offensive offers or insulting comments in meetings, he would just stare silently for 5-10 seconds. Guess what happened? The other side got uncomfortable. They started backtracking or correcting themselves. He got better deals. Without saying a word, silence is a power move. The pause makes it possible. But what if I explode? You might be thinking, that sounds great, but I'm not wired that way. I'm emotional. I can't just pause when I'm angry. That's fair. But here's the truth. You weren't born reacting. You were trained to react, which means you can untrain it. Here's how to begin. Start small. Pause before replying to a message. Pause before a retweet. Pause before saying yes or no. Journal your triggers. Write down what triggered you each day and how you could have handled it better. Practice breathing techniques. A simple 4 to 4 4 method. Inhale 4 sec. Hold 4 sec. Exhale 4 sec. During stress helps build the pause muscle. Within weeks, you'll notice you're less reactive, more patient, more respected. The bigger picture. What you gain by not reacting. Let's talk ROI. When you master the pause, you gain self-respect, because you stay in control, respect from others, because you don't overreact, clarity, because you stop making decisions in chaos confidence, because you respond like a leader time and peace, because you avoid unnecessary drama. And over time, this leads to better relationships, better decisions, better health. Yes, fewer reactions, lower stress, stronger immune system, better success in business, leadership, and life. Final thought. The calm one always wins. Anyone can react. It takes zero strength to yell, argue, punch, or panic. But to pause in the middle of chaos, that's real power. The world is getting louder, faster, more reactive every day. But the calm ones, Those who master the pause are the ones who rise, lead, and win. So next time you feel triggered, remember this. Pause, breathe, reclaim the moment. Because in that tiny gap, you hold the power to change everything. Chapter 2. Triggers are teachers. If you are triggered, you've been touched. But what got touched was already inside you. Unknown. Why do you get triggered so easily? Let me ask you a raw, honest question. Have you ever overreacted to something small, then regretted it later and wondered, why did that bother me so much? A simple tone in someone's voice, a comment from your partner, a coworker not replying fast enough, a joke that felt too personal. You tell yourself, it's not a big deal. Yet deep down, it feels like one. That, my friend, is a trigger. But here's the twist. The trigger isn't about them. It's about you. And this chapter will show you how every trigger you feel is actually a message, a mirror, and a golden opportunity for growth. If you're willing to listen. What is a trigger? Really? In psychology, a trigger is any stimulus that evokes a strong emotional reaction. Anger, fear, shame, guilt, insecurity, jealousy, etc. It might be something someone says, a facial expression, a text that gets ignored, being left out of a conversation, even someone else's success. You feel like it's happening to you right now, but in reality, it's waking up an old emotional wound from your past. Let's simplify it. Trigger. Present moment plus unresolved past emotion. Why triggers come from your past. Let's go deep for a second. Most of your emotional patterns were formed before the age of 10. If your parents yelled a lot, you might get triggered by loud voices. If you were ignored, silence might make you feel abandoned. If you were judged, even small criticism might feel like an attack. If love was conditional, you might feel unworthy when someone sets boundaries. So when you're triggered now, your brain isn't reacting to today's situation. It's trying to protect the child you used to be. That means when your boss criticizes your idea, your brain might hear, "You're not good enough." When your friend forgets your birthday, your brain might whisper, "You don't matter." But is that really true? No. It's not the situation. It's your interpretation, shaped by the past. Triggers are mirrors, not weapons. Most people do one of two things with triggers: explode, yell, react, get defensive, suppress, shut down, avoid, escape. Both are forms of emotional avoidance. Neither creates healing or growth. But emotionally mature people do something else. They ask, why did that hurt me so much? And in that question, they find a mirror, because the trigger shows them what's still unresolved inside. Let me give you a quick example. Real-life example. The restaurant blow-up. Two friends walk into a restaurant. The waiter forgets their order. It takes 45 minutes. Friend A laughs it off and says, "Man, this place is slow." Friend B gets furious, waves the manager over and says, "This is disrespectful." Same situation. Different reactions. Why? Friend B had a history of being ignored and dismissed by his parents, so a slow order felt like emotional neglect. The waiter wasn't the problem. The past was. Trigger. The surface trauma. The source. Step by step, how to turn triggers into growth. Here's a simple 5-step process I call TGERIGGER to use your emotional reactions as self-awareness tools. T. Track the moment. Start noticing your emotional reactions. When do you clench your jaw? When do you want to snap or run away? What specific situation triggered you? Track it. Write it down. Don't judge, just observe. Example, I got irritated when my coworker interrupted me in the meeting. R. Reflect on the emotion. Ask yourself, what emotion did I feel? Anger, embarrassment, rejection. Was it really about this situation? Or something deeper? I felt disrespected, maybe because I never felt heard growing up. I. Identify the story you're telling. Every emotional reaction comes from an unconscious story. Ask, what story am I telling myself right now? They don't respect me. I'm always left out. I'm not good enough. Nobody listens to me. The more you become aware of these internal stories, the more power you have to change them. G. Get curious, not judgmental. Instead of saying, why am I like this? Ask, what is this feeling trying to teach me? Is it pointing to an insecurity, a childhood wound, a belief that no longer serves me? This mindset shift, from judgment to curiosity, is where transformation begins. G. Ground yourself. Use simple grounding tools to stay calm instead of reacting. 4. Q7-8 breathing. Name 5. Things you can see, hear, feel right now. Sip cold. Water. Repeat a grounding affirmation. This feeling is a visitor. I will not let it control me. E. Express instead of suppress triggers. Build tension in the body. If you don't release it constructively, it will explode destructively later. So write it down. Talk to a friend. Go for a walk. Punch a pillow. Repression. Depression. Expression. Liberation. R. Reframe the trigger. Finally, reframe the situation. Instead of, they disrespected me. Try. That moment reminded me of how deeply I value being heard. Maybe I need to speak up more clearly or choose better environments. Now the trigger became your teacher. It helped you see your value, needs, or unhealed wounds. That's emotional mastery. Bonus. The 5 common trigger zones here are 5. Trigger. Hotspots most people carry. Rejection. I'm not good enough. Abandonment. I'll be left behind. Criticism. I always mess up. Comparison. I'm falling behind. Control. I need things my way, or I'll lose stability. Knowing your top 1-2 can give you incredible insight into where your strongest emotional reactions come from and how to work on them. Story: From Broken to Brave. A reader once messaged me after reading an earlier version of this concept. She said, I used to explode every time my boyfriend didn't text back. I thought he was ignoring me. But after journaling, I realized it reminded me of how my dad would disappear for weeks and not call. I was reacting to him, not my boyfriend. That changed everything. That's what triggers do. They connect now to then. But once you see the connection, you don't have to repeat it anymore. You get to respond instead of react. Final thought. Don't run from the trigger. Learn from it. Here's the truth. Nobody told us. Triggers aren't the enemy. They're the invitation. Every time something triggers you, life is saying, hey, something inside you is asking for healing. You can ignore it, or you can listen. You can react, or you can reflect. You can stay stuck in old pain, or you can break the pattern forever. Because at the end of the day, it's not the trigger that breaks you. It's your refusal to learn from it. But you're here, reading this, growing. You've already started your healing. So the next time you get triggered, smile. Your teacher just showed up. Chapter 3. Emotion Action. Feel everything. React to nothing. Do you believe every feeling deserves a reaction? Ever feel like this? Someone says something rude, and your whole body tenses. You read a triggering comment online, and your fingers itch to fire back. Your partner does something small, and suddenly you're having a massive argument about everything. We've all been there. But let's pause for a second. just because you feel something intensely. Does that mean you need to act on it? Here's the life-changing truth. You can feel deeply, but respond wisely. This chapter will show you how to master the gap between emotion and action, the gap where all your peace, power, and progress lives. The ocean and the surfer. A mental picture. Imagine your emotions as powerful ocean waves. Some are small ripples, others are tsunamis. Now imagine you are a surfer. If you try to fight the wave, you'll drown. If you ride the wave with skill, you glide across it effortlessly. That's emotional mastery. Most people try to either suppress the wave, deny the emotion, or immediately dive into it, react impulsively. Both lead to chaos. But if you observe the wave and choose how to move with it, you stay in control. That's the heart of this chapter. The brain science. Why reacting feels. Automatic. Let's understand what's going on inside your brain. Your brain has two major emotional players. Amygdala, the alarm system, primitive, fast, emotional. Prefrontal cortex, the CEO, rational, slow, logical. When something triggers you, a harsh tone, a rejection, an insult, your amygdala activates immediately. It screams, danger, do something. It pushes you toward yelling, shutting down, sending that toxic message, making impulsive decisions. But your prefrontal cortex, it needs a few seconds to catch up. That means if you act immediately on an emotion, you're letting the primitive part of your brain take over. And when that happens, you lose power, you lose presence, you lose perspective. Emotion truth. Just because you feel something doesn't mean it's accurate. Feeling insecure doesn't mean you're not worthy. Feeling rejected doesn't mean you're not loved. Feeling angry doesn't mean you've been wronged. Feeling jealous doesn't mean you're falling behind. Emotion, signal reaction, choice. You must honor the emotion without becoming enslaved by it. That's emotional intelligence. Step 1. Create space between emotion and action. There is a magical gap between the moment you feel something and the moment you act on it. That gap is your superpower. Here's a simple technique to build that pause. The 5-second rule. Whenever you feel triggered, say silently, pause, observe, breathe, choose. Then take 5 slow breaths. In for 4 seconds, hold for 4, out for 4. This tiny pause activates your prefrontal cortex, your rational brain, and gives you space to choose your response. This one habit alone can change your life. Step 2. Label the emotion. Name it to tame it. Studies show that labeling an emotion reduces its intensity by up to 40%. Why? Because when you name your feeling, your rational brain lights up. Try this. Right now, I feel angry, anxious, embarrassed, left out, jealous, overwhelmed. That's it. No judgment, just acknowledgement. Like telling a child, I see you. You don't need to suppress it. You don't need to act on it. You just need to notice it. This brings clarity and peace. Step 3. Choose your response, consciously. Once you've named the emotion, ask, what outcome do I actually want? Will reacting impulsively bring me peace or create more mess? Is this emotion asking for expression or reflection? Then choose. Example, you feel anger, you pause, you name it, you realize, I don't want to destroy this relationship just to prove I'm right. So you respond calmly instead of exploding. That's power. That's maturity. That's growth. Emotional intelligence hacks that actually work. Here are simple, actionable tools to manage emotion without reacting impulsively. Journal it before you speak it. When you feel overwhelmed, grab your phone or notebook and write, What happened? How do I feel? What would I love to say right now? What do I need instead? This will help you get clarity without damaging a relationship. Cold water. Technique emotions live in the body. To short-circuit intense emotion, especially anxiety or anger. Splash your face with cold water. Hold an ice cube. Step into a cool shower for 30 seconds. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, calming response, and brings you back to baseline 3, the what would my future self do? Trick. Imagine yourself 5 years from now, calm, wise, grounded. Ask, what would my future self do in this situation? This creates instant distance from the emotion and helps you make decisions from vision, not impulse. Use the HALT check-in. Many emotional reactions come from unmet physical needs. Before reacting, ask, HALT, am I hungry, angry, lonely, tired? Fix the physical state, and 80% of your emotional intensity will dissolve. Use instead statements. When you want to act on emotion, reframe it with conscious substitution. Instead of yelling, I'll journal. Instead of texting them, I'll go for a walk. Instead of reacting, I'll reflect. Instead of scrolling, I'll sit in silence. This rewires your habits over time. Hidden cost of reacting emotionally. Let's be brutally honest. Every time you react without thinking, you're paying a price. Mental cost, regret, rumination, guilt, anxiety, relationship, cost, misunderstandings, broken trust, unnecessary drama, professional cost, burned bridges, lost respect, bad decisions under pressure. Financial cost, emotional spending. Impulse purchases, missed opportunities from poor communication. You pay a lot for emotional reactions. Is it worth it? Real life story. From explosive to empowered. A reader, Rifat, once emailed me saying, I used to scream at my wife when she made small mistakes, but after reading about emotional space, I paused before yelling. That one pause saved my marriage. Now we talk instead of argue. That's the power of this chapter in action. Final reminder, you're not a robot. Feel it all. Let me be clear, not reacting doesn't mean not feeling. It means feeling everything. Acknowledging the storm inside you, but choosing not to throw lightning at others. Your feelings are valid, but your reactions are your responsibility. Every time you choose calm over chaos, reflection over reaction, response over rage, you grow. Quick summary of this chapter. Emotion is not the enemy. Impulse is. Reacting feels good in the moment, but it usually feels terrible later. You can pause, you can breathe, you can choose. Mastering the gap between emotion and action is the gateway to peace, power, and self-respect. Quote to carry with you. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. Viktor Frankl. In that choice is your growth, is your freedom, is your future. Chapter 4. Silence is power. Silence is a source of great strength. Lao Tzu. Have you ever lost a battle? Just by saying too much, you had the perfect point. You were right. But the moment you opened your mouth, the energy shifted. Now you look defensive, desperate, weak. Welcome to the war of words, where the real winners are often the ones who say nothing. In a world where everyone is loud, opinionated, and reactive, silence is not just underrated, it's your secret weapon. This chapter is about understanding and mastering the strategic use of silence. In arguments, in business, in negotiation, in leadership, and even in your inner game. Why silence disarms manipulation. Let's start with the psychology. Humans are wired to fill silence. When a conversation gets quiet, it feels uncomfortable. That discomfort makes people talk, and in that talking, they reveal information, show insecurity, and lose leverage. In contrast, someone who can stay calm and quiet holds the upper hand. Their silence creates mystery, forces the other person to reveal more, keeps them in control of the emotional tempo. Manipulators hate. Silence manipulators rely on emotional reactions. They want you to justify yourself, defend your values, react quickly and emotionally. But when you stay silent, you rob them of their favorite weapon, control, instead of saying, "Why are you treating me like this?" "That's not true. I'm not like that." Try staying quiet. Look at them. Let them sit with their tactics. Watch how fast their confidence collapses. Real-life example, the power of a pause. Chris Voss, former FBI hostage negotiator and author of Never, Split the Difference, calls it the calibrated pause. In high-stakes negotiations, he found that a few seconds of silence after the other party speaks causes them to fill the gap, often by giving away more information, revealing their bottom line, or softening their stance. Silence makes people uncomfortable, and in that discomfort, the truth comes out. In business, in relationships, even in conflict, the pause is power. The art of strategic silence. In arguments, let's be honest, most arguments aren't about truth. They're about ego, about winning, about control. And if you speak emotionally, if you rush to respond, you lose all three. Silence gives you an edge. Rule: never argue. When emotional, when someone triggers you, silence gives you space to assess. Is this worth responding to? Is this bait? Am I being manipulated? That split-second pause is the difference between an emotional outburst and a powerful move. Use the emotional cool-down rule. Never respond in the heat of the moment. Pause, breathe, decide. Sometimes 10 seconds is all it takes. Sometimes you need a night. But silence isn't about running away. It's about preserving your power. The person who can stay calm and composed during conflict always wins in the long run. Example: business negotiation. Let's say you're discussing a contract with a client. They offer you a low rate. Instead of saying, "That's too low. I can't work for that," try this. Stay quiet. Hold the eye contact. Let the silence linger. The client gets uncomfortable and may say, "But if that's not enough, maybe we can go a bit higher." Boom. You just earned more. Without defending yourself, silence made them negotiate against themselves. Why silence builds respect in business and leadership. Silence signals confidence. The person who feels the need to fill every space with words often comes off as insecure. But someone who can hold silence comfortably sends a message. I'm not in a rush. I'm not desperate. I'm in control. That kind of presence builds authority. Think of leaders like Steve Jobs, known for his slow, thoughtful speech and strategic pauses. Barack Obama used silence masterfully in debates to stay calm, gather thoughts, and disarm opponents. Silence isn't emptiness. It's a stage for powerful words. Silence makes your words land harder. In music, the pause between notes makes the notes meaningful. In conversation, the silence around your words makes people listen more closely. If you speak less, your words carry more weight. People lean in when you speak, not out of courtesy, but because you've built expectation. Silence is a leadership tool. When you lead a team, silence can be used too. Let others speak and feel heard. Encourage accountability. What do you think we should do? Pause. De-escalate tension without reacting. Leaders who can stay silent during storms earn trust. And loyalty. People follow calm, composed leaders, not reactive ones, mastering the levels of silence. There's more than one kind of silence. Let's break it down. Passive silence. This is the silence of fear or uncertainty. It happens when you're unsure what to say, often seen as weakness. Don't confuse this with strength. Passive silence means you're avoiding conflict. Active silence, this is deliberate, strategic, confident. It says, I'm not reacting emotionally. I'm observing you. I'm controlling the tempo of this conversation. Active silence is powerful because it's chosen, not forced. Reflective silence, used in decision-making, journaling, and deep thinking. This silence is internal. It's the quiet space where insights, ideas, and creativity are born. Most people don't win at life because they're too noisy inside. They can't think clearly. They distract themselves constantly. Create reflective silence in your life, and you'll make better decisions than 90% of people. Mental models for using silence. 1. The leverage model. In any negotiation or interaction, the person who talks less holds more leverage. Let others reveal their hand. Your silence forces them to act. 2. The delay principle. Delaying your response gives you time to think clearly, emotionally detach, strategize a better move. 3. The mystery advantage. People respect what they can't predict. When you're silent, people don't know what you're thinking. That makes you interesting, dangerous, and valuable. Practical applications of silence in real life. Let's make this real. Here are specific scenarios where silence gives you the edge. In relationships, when someone tries to guilt trip you, silence, emotional defense. When your partner is emotional, listen silently. Try to fix. When you want to gain respect, speak less, but with depth. In business, during price negotiations, silence after your offer. Trying to over-explain your worth in team meetings. Ask a question, then go silent. Let others think, contribute, and take ownership. On social media, don't respond to hate, criticism, or trolls with emotion. Silence is a message that says, I'm too focused to be distracted by noise. In your personal life, silence gives clarity. Spend 30 minutes in silence daily. No phone, no noise, just you and your thoughts. You'll start hearing what your soul actually wants. What silence is not. Let's clear up a common mistake. Silence is not weakness, but it also isn't. Passive aggression, avoidance, manipulation. Strategic. Silence is rooted in strength, clarity, and purpose, not emotional shutdown. Final takeaway, speak less, win more. Silence is not emptiness, it's not absence, it's not weakness. Silence is a signal of self-control, a tool of leadership, a frame of confidence, a weapon against manipulation. When used wisely, silence will help you win arguments, gain respect, make more money, build better relationships, and master your mind. In a noisy world, the quiet person becomes the most powerful presence in the room. Use silence not as a gap, but as a weapon, a pause, and a mirror. Let the world wonder what you're thinking. Let them speak first. Let them chase your energy, because silence is power, and now it's yours. Chapter 5. Respond, don't react. Reaction is impulse. Response is power. Anonymous. What happens when you react without thinking? Have you ever blurted something out in the heat of the moment, only to immediately wish you could take it back? You snapped at a colleague. You fired off an angry text. You said something hurtful to someone you love. It's in those moments of emotional reaction where we lose control, where we regret, sometimes even destroy relationships, and where we pay the price for acting from a place of impulse. But what if you could change that? What if you could pause for just a moment before speaking or acting and make a conscious choice that aligns with your goals, values, and long-term peace? In this chapter, you'll learn how to respond instead of react, and why this one shift in how you handle stress, conflict, and triggers can transform your life. The key difference between reacting and responding. Let's start by defining the key terms. Reaction. A reaction is impulsive and immediate. It comes from your emotional brain, the amygdala. Reactions are often triggered by stress, fear, or irritation, and they tend to be defensive, or aggressive. They don't leave room for much rational thinking. Simply put, it's your automatic response to a trigger. Example of a reaction. You get cut off in traffic, and your immediate reaction is to honk the horn, curse, or flip the bird. Response. A response, on the other hand, is intentional. It's more thoughtful, conscious, and rooted in rational thinking. It involves using your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logical thinking, decision-making, and impulse control. A response allows you to take a step back, assess the situation, and choose an appropriate course of action. Example of a response. You get cut off in traffic, and instead of reacting, you take a deep breath, stay calm, and continue driving. You realize that reacting won't change anything, but your peace of mind will help you get to your destination. So, the difference is simple. Reactions come from impulse and emotion. Responses come from thought and intention. The power of thoughtful responses. Here's the key. You can control how you respond to life's challenges, whether it's an uncomfortable conversation, a stressful work situation, or a personal conflict. Why is this important? Because your response shapes your relationships. Responding thoughtfully helps build respect, trust, and better communication. Your peace of mind. Reacting emotionally usually creates internal chaos. Responding thoughtfully preserves calm and balance. Your success. Thoughtful responses prevent poor decisions, misunderstandings, and regret. Ultimately, you have the power to choose how you show up in each moment and whether you will add to the chaos or create calm. Step 1. Build your 5-step response system. The key to replacing emotional reactions with intentional responses is having a clear system. A structured approach can help you pause, reflect, and decide how to act. Here's a simple 5-step response system you can use every time you feel triggered or overwhelmed. Step 1. Pause. The first thing you need to do when triggered is pause. Stop what you're doing. Don't respond immediately. When you pause, you activate your prefrontal cortex and allow your emotional brain, the amygdala, to calm down. You create the space you need to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. Example: someone insults you at work. Instead of firing back with a sharp response, pause. Give yourself a moment to breathe and collect your thoughts. Step 2. Breathe. Once you've paused, the next step is to breathe. Slow, deep breaths. Activate the body's parasympathetic nervous system, the body's natural relaxation response. Breathing reduces your stress and helps clear your mind so you can think clearly. Try the 4 to the 7 to 8 breathing technique. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 7 seconds. Exhale through your mouth for 8 seconds. Repeat this 3 to 4 times. By focusing on your breath, you're grounding yourself in the present moment, which allows you to avoid reacting from an emotional, instinctive place. Step 3. Identify the emotion. Next, label the emotion you're feeling. You need to know what's driving your impulses. Are you angry? Are you feeling insecure? Are you feeling stressed, threatened, or hurt? When you identify the emotion, you can separate it from the situation. Emotions can often cloud your judgment, and naming them helps you separate your emotional response from the facts. Example: you're feeling angry because your colleague didn't give you credit for a project you worked hard on. By identifying your anger, you can take a step back and ask, What is the best way to respond, considering my values and goals? Step 4. Cognitive reframe. Now that you know what you're feeling, it's time to reframe the situation. Cognitive reframing means changing the way you think about a situation to create a more empowering perspective. For example, instead of thinking, "That person insulted me and I need to defend myself," reframe it to, "This is their opinion. I don't need to take it personally. I can either engage with respect or walk away." Reframing helps you gain emotional control by turning a reactive mindset into a more neutral or positive one. Step 5. Respond thoughtfully. Now that you've paused, breathed, identified your emotion, and reframed the situation, you're ready to respond thoughtfully. You've created the space to make a clear, rational decision. Here's where you decide. What would your highest self do in this moment? What response would preserve your peace? What action is in line with your long-term goals and values? You don't have to engage in conflict, escalate a fight, or react out of anger. You can choose to speak calmly, assertively, or in some cases, remain silent. Step 2. Journaling. The art of reflection. One powerful tool in transforming reactions into responses is journaling. Writing down your thoughts, emotions, and experiences helps clarify what's truly going on inside you and allows you to see patterns in your behavior. Here's how to use journaling to respond instead of react. Free write when you're triggered. When you feel an emotional reaction building up, write down everything you're feeling. Pour it onto the page. Don't worry about structure or grammar, just write. This allows you to release the emotions safely without acting on them. Reflect and reframe after writing. Read over what you've written and reflect. How could you have responded differently? How can you reframe your thoughts to feel more in control? Step 3. Breath work. Resetting your nervous system. Breathing is the quickest way to interrupt your automatic emotional reaction and shift into a calm response. Try this simple breathwork exercise. Box breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Repeat this for 3 to 5 cycles. This activates your vagus nerve, which triggers your parasympathetic nervous system, reducing stress and anxiety. This will give you the space to respond mindfully. Step 4. Cognitive reframing. Tools. Cognitive reframing is a tool you'll use over and over as you work to change your reactionary tendencies. Here are a few reframing exercises. The why exercise. When you're triggered, ask yourself, why am I reacting this way? Often, your initial reaction comes from past experiences or beliefs. By identifying the root cause, you can separate your current experience from old wounds and choose a better response. Perspective. Shift. Instead of thinking, "This situation is unfair," shift your perspective to, "This is an opportunity for me to practice patience and assertiveness." Changing your perspective can immediately reduce the emotional charge. Step 5. Turn conflict into calm. Conversation, a critical aspect of responding rather than reacting, is knowing how to de-escalate a situation. Conflict doesn't need to mean chaos. Here's how you can turn any conflict into a calm conversation. Listen actively. Before responding, ensure you understand the other person's perspective. Listen without planning your response while they speak. This not only shows respect, but allows you to stay calm and gather your thoughts before reacting. Stay calm and grounded. Use breathwork, pause, and reflection to maintain your inner calm. When you're calm, you can think more clearly and respond more rationally. Use I statements instead of blaming or accusing. Use I statements to express your feelings without attacking the other person. For example, "I feel frustrated when I don't feel heard," rather than "You never listen to me." Conclusion. The power of choosing your response. In life, you can't always control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond. Learning to pause, breathe, reframe, and respond thoughtfully gives you back your power. It turns stressful situations into opportunities for growth, better relationships, and a more peaceful mindset. By responding instead of reacting, you don't just avoid regret. You begin to live with intention, calm, and strength. So next time you feel triggered, remember, the pause is your superpower. Chapter 6. Win the Inner War. You are your own worst enemy and your own greatest ally. Master the inner war, and the external battles will be won. Anonymous. Are you losing the war inside your mind? Do you ever feel like no matter what happens outside of you, the war within is the one that keeps you from feeling at peace? You wake up with anxiety about the day ahead. You doubt your own decisions. You find yourself stuck in negative thinking loops. You lose confidence in your abilities just when you need it the most. We all have an inner battle to fight, one that determines our success, happiness, and peace of mind. It's the battle between what we want to achieve and the doubts, fears, and negative emotions that try to hold us back. This chapter is about winning that war. In this chapter, you will learn how to master your inner world, build emotional immunity, and shift your mindset to become unshakable, no longer controlled by outside circumstances or internal chaos. Mastering your self-talk, the foundation of winning the inner war. Before you can win any battle, you need to control the weapon of your thoughts. And the most powerful weapon in your mental arsenals is your self-talk. Self-talk refers to the inner dialogue you have with yourself. It's the voice inside your head that shapes your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Here's the truth. The way you talk to yourself will either build you up or break you down. Self-talk is the foundation of your mental resilience, your emotional state, and ultimately, your success. Why does self-talk matter? Self-talk affects your confidence. The words you speak to yourself shape your belief in your own abilities. If you tell yourself, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, or I always mess up, you're creating a mindset of failure. On the other hand, positive self-talk like, I can do this, I've got the skills, and I will succeed, helps you face challenges with a growth mindset and unshakable confidence. Self-talk drives your actions. Your inner dialogue influences your decisions. If your self-talk is negative, you might procrastinate, avoid risks, or quit too early. If your self-talk is empowering, you're more likely to take action, push through challenges, and persist when things get tough. Self-talk influences your emotions. Negative self-talk can lead to stress, anxiety, and depression, while positive self-talk can help you stay calm, focused, and optimistic. The way you talk to yourself determines whether you're spiraling down emotionally or staying grounded and composed. Transforming your self-talk. To master your self-talk, the first step is awareness. You need to pay attention to the thoughts and words you speak to yourself every day. Ask yourself, how do I speak to myself when I make a mistake? What do I tell myself when I face a setback? When things go wrong, what kind of dialogue do I have in my head? Once you start paying attention, you'll begin to notice patterns. Negative self-talk usually shows up as self-criticism. I'm so stupid. Doubt. I'll never be able to do this. Fear of failure. What if I mess up? Guilt. I should have done better. These thoughts are damaging. They keep you stuck in a cycle of negativity and self-sabotage. To shift these thoughts, try the following techniques. Challenge your negative thoughts. When you catch yourself thinking negatively, challenge those thoughts. Ask yourself, is this thought true? What evidence do I have to support this belief? What's a more empowering way to look at this situation? For example, If you think, I'm terrible at public speaking, challenge it by asking, have I ever had a successful speaking experience? What could I improve next time? Replace the negative thought with something more empowering, like, I am improving every time I practice public speaking. 2. Reframe your self-talk. Reframing means changing the perspective of a thought. Instead of thinking, I'm not good enough, you can reframe it as, I'm in the process of learning and growing. Reframing is a simple, yet incredibly effective technique to change your internal dialogue. Instead of looking at challenges as barriers, see them as opportunities to grow, learn, and improve. Use positive affirmations. Affirmations are powerful because they help you reprogram your subconscious mind. When you repeat affirmations daily, you begin to believe them and act according to those beliefs. Start with affirmations that align with your goals, values, and strengths. I am worthy of success. I am confident and capable. I can overcome any obstacle. I am resilient and unshakable. Over time, these affirmations will help you silence the inner critic and replace it with empowering, success-driven thoughts. Building emotional immunity. Protect yourself from external stress. Just like physical immunity protects you from diseases, emotional immunity helps you protect yourself from the stress, negativity, and challenges that life throws at you. Building emotional immunity means becoming resilient, able to bounce back from setbacks without letting them take you down. Why is emotional immunity important? It allows you to stay calm in chaos. Life will always throw challenges at you. People will criticize you, problems will arise, and things won't always go as planned. Emotional immunity means you can stay composed and respond to challenges in a constructive way. It prevents emotional burnout. Without emotional immunity, you can easily become overwhelmed by stress. This leads to anxiety, fatigue, and burnout. But with emotional immunity, you learn to manage your emotions effectively without letting external events control your mood or energy. It helps you grow. Emotional immunity helps you bounce back from failure, rejection, and adversity. Instead of seeing challenges as roadblocks, you'll see them as opportunities to grow and become stronger. How to build emotional immunity. Practice. Mindfulness is the practice of being present in the moment without judgment. When you're mindful, you don't get overwhelmed by your thoughts or emotions. Instead, you observe them and choose how to respond. Simple mindfulness practices like meditation, deep breathing, or journaling can help you build emotional immunity. When you become aware of your emotions and thoughts, you can choose how to respond, rather than letting them dictate your actions. Reframe negative situations. Instead of focusing on what's going wrong, reframe the situation and look for the lesson. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this challenge make me stronger? This mindset shift allows you to view difficulties as part of the growth process, rather than something to avoid. Build a support system. A strong emotional support system is essential for building emotional immunity. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, encourage you, and help you stay grounded. Whether it's friends, mentors, or family members, having a support system will help you navigate life's challenges with resilience. Mindset shifts. For becoming unshakable, the key to winning the inner war is to shift your mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that you can learn, grow, and improve, no matter what challenges you face. From I can't to how can I? The mindset shift from I can't to how can I is essential for overcoming obstacles. When you tell yourself, I can't do this, you close the door to solutions. But when you ask yourself, how can I make this work? You open yourself up to creative thinking and problem solving. Action. Tip. Next time you face a challenge, ask yourself, how can I overcome this? Write down 3 possible solutions and take the first step toward implementing them. From victim to creator. Stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances. Instead, take ownership of your life and see yourself as the creator of your own reality. When you shift from victimhood to ownership, you realize that you are in control of your emotions, thoughts, and actions. Action. Tip. Start taking responsibility for your actions and decisions. Recognize that you have the power to change your circumstances by changing your mindset and actions. From fear to faith, fear is often the biggest barrier to achieving your goals. But faith in yourself, your abilities, and your potential can help you push past that fear. Action tip. Whenever you feel fear creeping in, remind yourself of your past victories. Write down a list of times when you've overcome challenges and use that as fuel to face your current fears. Conclusion. Becoming unshakable, the inner war is constant, but it doesn't have to defeat you. By mastering your self-talk, building emotional immunity, and making the right mindset shifts, you can become unshakable, able to face life's challenges with strength, confidence, and grace. Remember, you are the commander of your mind. You choose how you respond to life's challenges, and by mastering your inner world, you can conquer anything that comes your way. The world may throw chaos at you, but when you win the inner war, you become untouchable, an unstoppable force that no one and nothing can shake.